Uh-oh. So, as you guys saw, this shaft has got a pretty good bend in it. Um, it's it's a pretty basic shaft. I mean, it's just a couple cutouts and some cross holes. So, making a new one's no big deal. But this is hard. I mean, it's really hard. Um, so I do have just some regular old 5/8 cold rolled, which would work, but it's going to be considerably softer. But I also have some 5/8 stainless, and this is non-magnetic stainless, so I'm guessing 304, maybe 316. So this should be a lot tougher than the cold rolled. It's going to be a little tricky drilling all these small cross holes, but if we can make it out of this, I think it'll be better. But yeah, this one's toast. So I mean, it's pretty good evidence that this machine's been tipped over, because we got one belt guard was missing, the oil pan is broken on one corner where the stud comes out, and then this would have been in that same area. So this machine's been tipped over, but luckily the casting is straight. I checked both these castings; they're straight. So the shaft took all the brunt of the crash. So at least that's a relatively easy part to make. So, all right, well, we'll get set up for making a new shaft. Yeah, so for comparison, here's the stainless, and it cuts okay with the file, so yeah, we can machine that. Here's the original shaft. I mean, that is glass hard. I've been looking at the steps that I need to take to remake this shaft. The first thing I did is I wanted to get some accurate measurements. And the function of this is not that critical as far as precision goes, but I want to try to do it as best as possible. So I made a little cheat sheet here, and I took all the dimensions from one datum from one end of the shaft. So from here we got 3 cross holes here for our roll pins. So I've got those dimensions. I've got the dimensions to the cutouts and so forth all the way down. And then I've got our measurements for the actual cutouts themselves. The cross holes will probably be the last thing that I do, and these 2 flats will be the first. Okay, camera didn't want to focus. I had to get a piece of material to put behind there. Okay, so you can probably see here, this second flat is not at 90 degrees. It's actually at 80 degrees, right? Actually 81 degrees is what I came up with. So what I'll do, I'm gonna go ahead and mill this right in this V block with just some strap clamps holding it down. So after we cut these, and luckily this block is perfect, it gives me enough clearance. After we cut these, we'll have to rotate so that this flat is up on the top, parallel to the mill table, okay? So what I came up with, I'm just going to use these angle blocks. And I got a 10 degrees, and then I got a 1 degree flipped over, so it's subtracting a degree. So that'll give us 9 degrees. And then I'll just square it up like so, okay? And then we'll clamp it down, and I think we'll be good. Okay, so that's my plan. Just using a couple parallels to line up the V block with the back of the table. All right, just going to face the end off here real quick. All right, we got a couple scribe marks on here. So we're going to mill to the marks, and we're going to do the paper trick here. When I was facing the ends off, I tried some high-speed steel. No way, man, this stuff is too tough. Okay, there we go. Okay, this paper's 3/1000. Let's try 20/1000. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to establish where our scribe marks are, and I'm going to set the table stops because I'm going to have to do this in several light passes. This stainless is pretty tough. All right, here we go. Yeah, I'm just going to use this rougher. Let's see how close we are. All right, let's take a tiny bit more. Okay, that's pretty good. Let me get this one set. All right, so let's take 30/1000 on this pass. All right, I'm going to shut you guys off for a minute. I'm going to take a measurement. All right, I went back to our original 0 and we moved to the other end here. So let's take a light cut and establish our stop point. That looks good. Let me set this table stop. All right, let me take a measurement and do a little bit of cleanup. Okay, I did this off camera. This is a little bit fiddly to set up. Trying to keep the block parallel and get the rotation right, hold the square and everything up to the flat, and tighten all at the same time. So took 2 tries, but got it. So let me get set up for the cut, but I think this is going to work good. Yeah, I brought the old shaft over here and just made sure we had the orientation right. So hopefully we keep Mr. Bozo away. Okay, I'm going to try to get a measurement. Alright, so what I did is I put a scribe line on the center line, and then I've been in here laying out our crosshole offsets. But I didn't trust that that the crosshole in the clutch arm was on center. So what I did, I put it on here, and then I came in with a 1/8 inch transfer punch and carefully lined it up, and it is dead on center. So that's good. So now I gotta go put this back in the mill, and we'll set up the drilling. All right, just making sure we're parallel here with our flat. And took a little while to get this dialed in, but that's going to be close enough. And we'll double check it. Okay, we're dead on. Alright, I'm a little nervous about drilling the stainless steel. I got a brand new clee line. It's a chisel point 1/8 drill bit. It's just high-speed steel. I'd rather have cobalt, but I don't have one. We're at 1700 RPM, which is about 50 feet per minute, so I think that'll be close enough. Alright, well, here we go. Let me drop the table a bit. So far, so good. wasn't too bad. So that was pretty uneventful, just the way we like it. Okay, so I'm gonna just deburr these by hand, and then we'll see if everything fits. All right, here's a project my oldest grandson's working on. He's in the shop with me here today, Colby. What are you doing, Colby?
So I'm making this engine pretty much electronically controlled from just being, well, controlled by a controller.
Oh, like radio controlled?
Yeah.
Or Bluetooth?
Mm-hmm.
So what have you added? You added this board here?
Yeah, so I added that board, and then I just had to add wires from everything else and add it all individually instead of just connected in one big loop.
Okay, so the radio control is hidden inside the boxcar?
Yeah, well, it's
okay,
going to
that's
be.
cool.
Right now it's just, the boxcar's there, the tender's there, it's going to be hidden.
Okay, that's cool stuff. All right. Okay, and I'm working on this project. So just looking over our new shaft, comparing it to the old one. So I'm really happy, came out nice. We avoided having Mr. Bozo come by. And then I'm going to put new pins in. This is the one for the lever. One was snapped off, the other one's worn out, so put a couple new pins in. Alrighty, let's see if we can do some assembly. So I noticed that I missed a couple spots of paint. So off camera I did a little touch up, so we're still a little tacky on our paint job there. So just being a little extra gingerly here. Alright, so this side has the control handle and the cone pulley on that side. So this is going to go like this. Alright, so I put a little lube inside here already off camera. Yeah, I noticed that these are a pretty tight fit, and I wish I would have noticed that sooner. I probably would have moved those holes over just a little bit. If you guys can see, there's some draft on this casting, so if I drive these all the way through or center them, they're going to drag on the back here. So I think I'm going to leave the majority of it sticking up on this side and just go down just a little bit more here. I have a little gap on this side. So I'm contemplating whether I want to try So when I made our rub blocks here, I made sure that I got the material of the same thickness, but the casting is a little off. So I either need to put a thicker one on this side. Alright, so that was not anticipated. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and slot this drive screw and see if I can unscrew this drive screw. Take our little rub block off of there, and then I've got some shim stock. I'm going to make a shim to go underneath, and I'll probably either solder it to the rub block on the bottom side or epoxy it. And then I'll have to elongate elongate the hole, and then I'm probably going to have to drill and tap and do a little cap screw just like that side. But I think that's the cleanest way to do it. I thought about just cutting out a piece of shim and either soldering or gluing it to the top of that rub block. But I don't like that. I think I'd rather have it underneath. That way it's hidden. And well, I tried slotting the head and unscrewing it. I even tried an impact driver. No luck. Just spreading the head apart. So I ended up just grinding off the head, prying it off. So let me try a pair of vice grips and see if I can get this out of there. Otherwise, we're just going to have to drill it out. Well, I finessed it the best I could, but no avail. All right, time to drill it out with an end mill. Been using a calibrated eyeball and my Optivisor to get on center here. Okay, that turned out good. We got it drilled and tapped for our 832. That goes in there nicely. Okay, here's our little shim piece. The idea is to solder it on right there. Okay, I put a couple red dots so I know which side is up. Alright, so let's get some flux on here. Just using some good old no corrode brand soldering flux. And I sanded everything to get it nice and clean, so it has some good surface to grip on and no contaminants. Is just tin it with a little bead of solder, and then we can drop our little shim on there. Okay, let me clean it up and see how it looks. Alright, so our soldering job turned out pretty good. So now we just got to mount this back on there. I got to elongate this hole a little bit so it'll line up, but I'm going to do all that off camera. Alright, I got everything back together. I've been beating on this for quite a while, and I'm going to call it good. So I ended up putting another little tiny shim on this end, about 10 thousandths, and I just epoxied that in this time. But we got a much better fit now. Still not 100% perfect, but it's going to be good enough. Okay, we're going to continue with our assembly. I like to use a pin punch on the back side when you're trying to get one of these spring pins started. That way it'll work like a guide, and it'll just, as your pin goes in, it'll just push that punch out. For our bearings, I'm going to use, I like this Super Lube. This is, it's a silicone grease, and it's a long-term grease. I don't think it dries out like the other types of grease do. I put a little paint mark on the end so that I can tell where these flats are located. Okay, step shiv pulley side goes on this side. Got our flat up on the top. Okay, I wasn't going to, but I'm gonna have to replace these felt seals on each end. They're intact, but they're flattened out pretty good and very hard. So what I'm noticing is, see our little break here? It doesn't line up to the center of the shiv. So if we put a brand new felt in here, and that will allow the shaft to kick over a little bit and put our brake shoe in alignment there. And then the other thing is, I've still got some end play, and the way they've got these flats ground, I can't get this collar far enough that way. But if we put a new felt seal in here, then it'll be fine, because that's going to take up more space, and we'll get the right amount of end play. So I'm just going to put this other shiv on and just lightly tighten it, because I'm going to order seals, and I've got to order felts for the ways anyway. So we'll just go ahead and get all of them, and yeah. So I'm going to put the pulley on, and then when we do the final assembly, we'll put those seals in. All right, well, it took long enough to get to this stage. So we also got our motor mount cleaned, painted, and the hardware cleaned up. Wasn't much to that. And then this ended up being a whole lot more work than we thought. Originally we thought it was just going to be clean and paint, repack the bearings, and away we go. But we had some surprises we didn't know about. But we got it sorted out. And what we'll do, we'll set all this stuff aside for safekeeping. And then next episode, I think we're going to work on the clapper box and the downfeed and probably pull the vise off. Okay, so until then, thanks everybody for sticking with this, and we will see you on the next video. And please, if you can, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and so forth. And we will see you next time. Thank you. Try to bend this in the vise. I've just got a little score line there to hopefully help it bend parallel.